Monsters in the Morning on Real Radio 104.1, and you're listening to the voice of UCF, Marc Daniels, and the Beat of Sports on FM 96.9 The Game. You want real sports talk? You got it right here.
Chris, I want to start the program today. We're going to do a deeper dive into the game last night and what became the greatest comeback in NBA Finals history. Without getting in a lot of details, and you know some details, yesterday was a little bit of a personally rough day. Some things going on, but I'm good. I'm great here today and so forth. And got to the early part of the evening last night. I was trying to lock in as the fan in me. And I told you, I don't handle this fan stuff well. You know, like the misery of a giant season. By the time you get to Columbus Day, do we still celebrate that? By the time you get to Columbus Day, it's over. You know, you're just like, whatever. And I mean, my stomach's in a knot. I'm in my jog run yesterday, and I'm just, I made dinner, and I'm getting locked in, right? And I'm like, all right, I'm nervous. I watched none of the pregame. Simply because the Knicks lost the third. So I watch nothing. I mean, I'm looking up and I see different people that they're having on, and then the ball goes up, and the first foul on Cat, which is great executed play by San Antonio, designed to get a foul on him, and then the second one, which gets overturned, and I'm miserable. And then it only gets worse. The Spurs, I'm convinced, hit 43 consecutive shots. Didn't miss. And it goes to 10, to 12, to 15, to 18, to 20, and I'm miserable. I'm just miserable. The day was tough to begin with, and now I'm like, and every sports fan can relate, okay? You're like jacked up for a game, right? And then it goes like that. And you have to sit and endure the pain of the rest of the game. I'm not turning it off, right? And then, Chris, here's the only thing I'm thinking as the league grows, right, is I got to wait 2 more days and hear all the crap, not just from the talking heads, but the few idiot friends that might reach out to me. And you know, I can't read social media. I'm like, it's going to be miserable. And then I'm thinking, they're never going to win a game again. And then it's going to go down as, 13-game win streak. And then you're teased a little bit. Okay, they're down 29, it's 27, and we'll get to the comeback and all that stuff. And, an emotional day. I had tears in my eyes last night.
So I want to go.
Part of that was because the day that I had. But, yeah.
I want to go to the beginning of the game. Do you listen? Because on big game days, I like to listen to music that, I'm already excited for the game, but, listening to music.
No.
You don't? No, nothing? No New York related music? No New York artists?
No. It was, there's a couple of podcasts on Wednesdays that I listen to because of when things drop, and one motivational one, and then one other that I just enjoy, and I was locked in on that. Then I actually had a couple of phone calls when I was doing my jog walk yesterday. No. And then God bless my wife, who is as locked in as I am. Okay, God bless this woman, about to celebrate 32 years, and is asking me, like, what's wrong? Why are they? Like, and then even during the comeback, okay, she, and I didn't scream, but she did kind of let me elevate my voice on a few of the final plays, and yeah. I went to bed at 3:30. I couldn't go to bed. I didn't want to go to bed. I was just up. I was charged up and everything. I mean, I open up my app and I look at my sleep score. It says poor. I'm like, blank you. Could care less what you think. Think your opinion matters today? Get out of here. Yeah.
So I'm laying in bed. My wife's asleep, and my phone vibrates, and I look at it, and it's a notification from The Athletic talking about how the Knicks, there's drama in New York now. I'm like, why are you sending that update Like there's still, I think it was like 2+ minutes to go. I get that the Knicks had, cut the lead down drastically, but you don't send that out.
I say this often, and it's true. And it just so happens there's a team that I have passion for, but it's sports, man. It is the unknown. It is the dramatic moments. It is the heroes that emerge. It's the storylines that you can't really script. There's a hero, there's a GOAT, there's an incredible comeback, there's an incredible choke job. It's sports, man. It's sports. It's why people pay billions of dollars for rights fees. You don't always get a game like that, but when you get a game like that, um, in that moment and in that building, and with the history of that team and how long it's been since they won, and what that big thing on the other team's been doing, and it's sports. It's what makes us. We're throwing the word addiction around in college sports these days. It's why we're addicted to our teams. It's why winning's hard, even when you're not playing. It's frustrated as a fan because you can't do anything about it. It's what makes you keep coming back. It's why you're still living and dying with every Sunday of the Cowboys. It's why I'm nauseous with a knot in my stomach, and I'm angry, and then I'm sitting there, and then all that stuff. It's sports. There's nothing like it.
Jalen Brunson hits that 3 over Wemby to cut the lead to 1. And that's when that arena erupted, I got goosebumps.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I have no dog in the fight.
I mean, when longtime Nick legend fan Taylor Swift is jumping up and down, you're thinking, that's who we're doing this for right here. That moment, when Kirk Herbstreit is sitting courtside, you're thinking, these are the people that are part of what's happening right here at Madison Square. Screw Larry David, Jerry Seinfeld, all those people. It's Taylor Swift and Kirk Herbstreit. Where was the dog? So probably didn't have the dog sitting courtside with him last night. Yeah. Wow. Just
that was a hell of a comeback.
Yeah.
A hell of a comeback.
So I'm standing in front of my couch in the final play at 1.2 seconds to go. And when the horn sounded, I didn't scream, but I did let out a loud cheer and so forth. And Chris, it was a draining day for me emotionally yesterday for a lot of things that I won't get into, but I stood there for 20, 25 minutes, just standing like I couldn't move. Yeah. And
I don't blame you.
Yeah. Wow.
It probably took me a solid 30 minutes to an hour to go to sleep after the game. You don't get that high off emotion and then just, all right, I'm going to bed.
And let me tell you the thing I took away. When Method Man makes a prediction.
Do they deserve a ring? Will they get a ring if the Knicks win?
Let me just tell you something. If the Knicks win another game in this series, the Wu-Tang float in that parade will smell in Orlando, Florida. Whatever's happening on that float, I guarantee you they will be part of the parade. Yeah, I can guarantee you that.
As they should be.
For crying out loud. A deeper dive into that game last night, how it happened, and much more. But first, everybody's favorite segment.
It's almost like an unwritten rule that when you become a father, you become king of the bad dad jokes.
What is Forrest Gump's password? 1 Forrest 1.
Are you ready to laugh? We know at least one person is. Here's CB's dad joke of the day.
Oh, that's so great. Oh, man. I don't think you liked the joke yesterday. So I got to see if I can bounce back.
Oh, no. It was fine. Sometimes you catch me off guard when you don't ask me the question. Yeah. So go ahead.
All right. Today's joke, I should make it something Spurs related and holding leads, but I got nothing for it. Mark, what do you call a bear caught in the rain?
I don't know, Chris. What do you call a bear caught in the rain?
Why, Mark, that's a grizzly bear. Rain drizzle.
and off we go. So I have a question before we do a little bit deeper dive into the game, right?
Okay.
I know we talked about this before the series started, that the rest of the sports fan world has a favorable view of both teams.
Yes.
The Spurs have Wemby, young team, nothing to dislike. And Jalen Brunson made the Knicks likable. Not Knicks fans, but the Knicks likable, right? What's the view now?
Knicks fans do not have a good look right now. They do not have a good look right now.
Because, well, now the obnoxious levels come back in, right?
Oh, yeah. Now you're rivaling Philadelphia territory.
Why? Because we threw some eggs at Wemby?
Beating up Spurs fans, throwing eggs. Come on, class it up a little bit.
Okay.
What do you got? Come on.
Oh, no.
What do you got?
No, I'm asking you a serious question. What's the perception of both teams? I get, look, there was zero chance if the Knicks win this that the rest of the country be like, oh, what? I'm really happy for them. Because that may have been the thought before the series started, but what happened after game 3 and what fans did, last night's win and celebration, and if and when they win, the celebration will be off the chart, that it'll go back to that's why I can't stand New York fans and so forth. But the teams and players, same view?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, no. I think now the Spurs are viewed as choke artists.
Okay. Well, I said to Kelly during the bridge, and it's a hot take topic, right? Did the Knicks win it or did the Spurs choke? And both have to be true. Like, the Knicks don't come back from down 29 if the Spurs keep playing like they did in the first half, okay? It's not possible. It's not possible. But the second foul on Karl Anthony Towns is massive. It's massive. The overturn and the second foul, the domino effect of what happens to the Knicks, again, they're playing guys that I don't think could play in the Big 12 when they enter the third and fourth string center. And then the Spurs simply don't miss 14 first half threes. They're just hitting everything. And the lead grows and grows and grows and grows. I'll shut up for a second. How do the Knicks get back? Forget the final few plays. For someone that's not emotionally involved, how'd the Knicks get back in the game?
They started hitting shots. They weren't turning the ball over. They played great defense, forced the Spurs into some turnovers. They were missing shots. That's what it was. They made adjustments. The Spurs
Wrong! No, I'm just kidding. 10 o'clock hour, WY, Jim Orlando, WJR, HD2, Cocoa Beach. No, but I said earlier, the Knicks do things to make the Spurs help them. Okay? And, Barkley comes on, and again, I said this earlier, what a moment. The ABC broadcast ends with all the pump and excitement, and everybody's going crazy. Mike Breen goes, switch over to ESPN now for Inside the NBA. And I switch over, and there's 2 laps left of the NCAA 10,000-meter run. And I cannot imagine you got a producer and director ready to come on knowing you've got this massive audience that just moved over. You saw the TV ratings in Game 3 were insane. I don't think they'll be as high because a lot of people probably turn the game off. But here they go over to ESPN, and they got 2 laps to go with a 10,000-meter run. And I'm flipping over to ESPN 2 and go back, and they cross the finish line, and you could tell they're telling the announcer, get out, get out, get out. Anyway, so, and then the first thing Barkley says is, it's some of the dumbest basketball I've ever seen in my life. And I don't know if it certainly is a factor, not the only factor. Young coach, young team, the most veteran guy that they play is the guy that was horrendous in key moments. That was De'Aaron Fox. They kept shooting threes. They began to turn the ball over. But even then, Chris, okay, and again, it's 71-42 at one moment. It's 76-49 at the half. Whenever the Knicks made a little bit of a run, the Spurs answer. They cut it to 15. Here's 5 in a row quickly. Back to 20. Got it to 12. Here's a couple threes. They're down 18. And then you get a little bit of momentum. But along the way, as guys are hitting shot, OG Anunoby he was 7 for 9 from 3 last night. He was the best player on the floor. But the beauty of a 7-game series is not just game-by-game adjustments, it's in-game adjustments. And the Knicks have to survive, and they didn't when Cat picks up the second foul. They didn't. I mean, Brunson's off to a bad start. The Knicks get nothing out of Landry Shamet and Deuce McBride. Nothing. They were terrible last night. Horrendous last night. Jordan Clarkson hit one shot, then had just an air ball, bad shot.
The whole
turnover.
The whole Knicks bench was
Awful.
terrible outside of Jose Alvarado.
Awful. Yeah, the moment where Mitchell Robinson gets into it with Wemby, he gets a flagrant. And then you hit a few shots, and Mike Brown, and I'm sure it wasn't just him, and the staff, they're going to play Jose Alvarado with Jalen Brunson so that Brunson's not taking the ball up, facing pressure, 94 feet, and it's significant. Even before Alvarado hits that incredible three, it does change a little bit. Gutsy move. Now, Mikal Bridges isn't doing anything, and it's a gutsy move. They get it under double digits. Okay? And you're like, all right, well, now they're back in this thing. But the Spurs kept answering. As bad as De'Aaron Fox was at times, he hit a big shot. Then Wemby hits that top of the key shot. You're like, okay. I mean, and then it's heartbreak. But now I want to go through some of the things of some of these key plays and to kind of walk through some of the stuff. By the way, is anybody breathing a bigger sigh of relief in New York than Josh Hart? Now, it's not the game-ending play. Even if he makes it, the game isn't over.
No, but then he commits 2 fouls afterwards.
But it certainly was a big moment.
He is public enemy number 1 if the Knicks lose that game.
So now, here it is, 19.6 seconds left, 106-105 San Antonio. And here is the moment for De'Aaron Fox.
Gets it back. Brunson on the drive. The floater's up. Shot won't go. Rebound deflected. In the backcourt. Fox has a chance to get it. Fox has it inside. Blocked by Anunoby.
If he dribbles to the corner and pulls it back out, the Knicks have to foul because the shot clock's off. The Spurs have a 1-point lead.
There's probably another 3 or 4 seconds that are taken off.
So there's 2 schools of thought here. One is, hey, you're not in that moment. Duh. He's a veteran. He's only 28, but he's a veteran. You got to know the moment. His thought, and he said afterwards, is I'm trying to get a layup to give him a 3-point lead. You can defend that if he makes it. And here's why OG Anunoby, and the series isn't over, is the MVP at the moment after 4 games. Not just for making big shots before the putback, but the block on the play. Which, by the way, in December is called a foul. But if Fox dribbles it out, Knicks have to foul. But he opted to go to the basket.
Anybody, regardless of if you've been in the NBA for a year, 5 years, 10 years, you have to know you're dribbling that out. You're not going up for a layup.
Right, but to go back to the early stuff in the second half, and Barkley was all over this, but 14 of 26 in the first half shooting threes for San Antonio. And you don't have to play in the NBA to know shooting sometimes is contagious. Guys are just knocking down everything. Okay? They're 3 for 17 in the second half, including a stretch where they'd shot 8 consecutive threes. They were 8 for 39 in the second half shooting. They were outscored in the final 21 minutes of the game, 55-25 in the final 21 minutes of the game. And it wasn't just missed threes. As great as he is and as great as he's going to be, they had a gassed Wemby. And, I'm screaming and my wife is, telling me to calm down. But every time he goes into the paint and they miss a shot, you got to run out. Why? Because he can't get back. A 7'4" thing cannot sprint back. And every time that happens, you can get to the basket and you're going to score. Okay, now, when he gets back and he's in the paint, okay, it's a problem. But he's gassed. And he hit a couple threes, and then he took some really ill-advised threes that you're like, tired legs, and then the Knicks begin to make a run. The three by Brunson over Wemby. I mean, you'll talk about the OG play, but that three by Brunson was iconic. Okay, I mean, there's the famous shot of Steph Curry in the Olympics with Wemby stretched and Steph shot. In New York, you'll talk about OG's play, but the Brunson three over the closeout by Wemby is, all right. Here's Brunson's shot and OG's putback.
Let's go flat for Jalen Brunson. Allow him to operate at the top. 1-on-1. Brunson gets it. Fires up a three. Shot.
I want to go back here because on the inbound, Wemby ends up on Brunson, and Dylan Harper comes off of OG to get to Brunson. And I don't think they called for a double team, but he opts to come off of OG on the inbound.
Go flat for Jalen Brunson. Allow him to operate at the top. 1-on-1. Brunson gets it. Fires up a three. Shot no good. The chip, it's gone. It's gone. It's gone.
Wemby's left flat-footed because he turns on Brunson's miss. And as Dylan Harper came off to go over to Brunson, it's a clear path for OG Anunoby. But, Chris, we've all watched plays like that 1,000 times. It's got to be perfect. There's 12 hands up in the air. He outjumps everybody and gets the putback. And if you go back frame by frame, and I did, Wemby has to look like holy, and he probably said something in French, because I'm sure his thought is, I got Brunson to miss. And OG comes flying in because Dylan Harper comes off to go over to Brunson. And then on the inbound with 1.2 seconds to go, and I'm an emotional wreck on the inbound here with 1.2 seconds to go. It's a brilliant play. I mean, Stephon Castle likely has a dunk to win the game, but Cat gets a fingertip on it. If he doesn't get a fingertip on it, I think Castle scores a winning basket.
So this is where I'm thinking why, and I'm assuming maybe Wemby's just the distraction, but why not then have Wemby inbound the ball?
He hasn't done it all year. It's just not part of what they do.
But I mean, in that,
but
you see who's guarding the inbound.
But you need him as a potential option if there's a tip with 0.4 or whatever. But here's the play.
They have to get it in. Harper lobs it inside. Council hasn't lost it. That's it. It's over. The greatest comeback in NBA playoff history. The Knicks pull off the miracle comeback.
Cat gets a piece of the ball onto the inbound, and the Knicks win. Sports, man. You know, sometimes you just can't explain it. You just can't explain it sometimes.
So, just watching the game again. You're a Knicks fan. I'm not. But there's times where Jalen Brunson just dribbles the ball too damn much. He dribbles the ball so damn much, he gasses himself out.
Except he didn't. I mean, I understand what you're saying, and that's the criticism of the Knicks offense. Last year was a criticism of a lot of the Knicks offense up until the moment of the Atlanta series where the Knicks began to run offense through Karl-Anthony Towns. He picks up 2 early fouls. And late in the basketball game, it became a lot about Brunson, but Alvarado was there to help from a speed standpoint to pick the pace of the game up. But yet I can just give you his fourth quarter. And
he had several key turnovers too.
He did, but look how many shots. I mean, the body of work of Jalen Brunson in fourth quarter points, and it's a small sample size compared to all-time great. His clutch points are among the all-time best in NBA history in playoff basketball.
Again, how many shots is he getting up, and the ball sometimes doesn't even leave his hands. He's just dribbling in and out of traffic.
Okay, do you know the most efficient fourth quarter play in the last 2 years in the NBA playoffs?
Well, based on how you're setting it up, it's Jalen Brunson.
It's him. Not even close. Not even close. But they don't win without OG Anunoby last night. I mean, Brunson's three's massive. A couple of his drives are massive. But Anunoby was just unbelievable. Just unbelievable. And experience of an older Knick team, inexperience of a Spurs team. As I go back to how we started the conversation, did one team have a miracle comeback or was it a massive choke? And both things have to be true. Both things have to be true. And it's fair criticism of Mitch Johnson because you can say, well, he can tell them, then call another timeout and make it pretty obvious. Guys, what are we doing? We can't just keep shooting threes. We're giving them every opportunity to get back into the basketball game. And even though, again, Stephon Castle hits 2 big free throws, it does come down to one play. There are moments where I think the inexperience of San Antonio, and as that crowd got involved, it got to them. I mean, it's natural. Even experienced teams. I mean, that's why sometimes home court matters. It didn't to the first 3 games of the series, but I think sometimes it matters. And I think you feel the pressure when they got to single digits. If you're the Spurs, and they still did a couple of big shots, it just became what's happening.
Well, we've seen how good Wemby is at the free throw line, and in the second, late in the game, 3 critical free throws he missed.
2 big ones that he missed were massive. Yeah, I mean, when Stephon Castle got up to 21 years old, like, whatever.
Yeah.
Bang, bang. We got the lead, and everything's fine. But you could see the pressure begin to build. But, again, it's why you don't have any idea. If you tell somebody they're going to come back from 29 points, like, no, they won't. 71-42. It's 76-49 at the half. They're not going to come back. And I still am not quite sure how it happened. And
slowly but surely.
Yeah. The to watch a collapse in sports, if you're not emotionally involved, it is a tragedy to observe because of how it happens. It's one thing you get beaten a half-court shot, 3-quarter shot, whatever. But when you have, we talk about the Falcons in the Super Bowl, and we talk about, last night's game, when you have moments like that, and you can sit and go back and you can watch what the Knicks did and every shot they made, but you go back and look at the collapse of something that is at 29 that then creeps down to 15, you get it back to 20, creeps to 12, you get it back to 18, creeps to 4, you get it to 7 with 100 seconds to go, and you're like, okay, and then you're like, how in the world do you lose that game?
For as much as I was, hard on the Knicks, and not the Knicks, but the Knicks fans for acting like animals after Game 3 and after last night, not one person left that building. I don't think one person left that building.
Yeah, no, listen, every fan base experiences what you hope are moments like that where this incredible ending and you don't want to leave and everybody wants to be a part of it. I'm biased here, but I think because the long history of Knick failures that, playing in that building and what every NBA player says about wanting to go there, it's got a little bit of a different vibe. And, when you can do it in front of historic fans like Taylor Swift, it's going to matter a little bit more, I think my wife was bothered that I was bothered by it. It's like, what do you care? Goes, she was sitting at the Cavs game rooting for the Cavs. I don't want this right now.
That's what you call a bandwagon. Oh, that is a bandwagon.
Yeah. I mean, when Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld are hugging, you can't get any more New York, I think, than you can at that moment. For Christ.
Is Ben Stiller shooting a documentary?
Yes.
Okay. Because every time they go to him, he's on his damn phone.
Yeah.
Like, get off your phone.
Yeah.
Hire a production crew.
Actually, I kind of like the fact that he's doing it himself instead of people around him. Yeah.
Be in the moment,
no,
man.
I think he is, and everything.
But you're not in the moment if you're just on your phone recording the whole time. Like,
by the way,
get off your phone and
I don't know if you saw the clip. Chalamet in the tunnel dancing with fans while Kylie's off to the side. Like, her man wants to have fun with everyday fans, and the dude was like, I'm going to have fun, and so forth. Wow.
What a game.
I was thinking about how miserable I was going to be today because I just was sick watching that. And I was telling Kelly on the bridge, Game's not till Saturday. The mocking of Knick fans and blowing and losing 4-2, and you'll never win. And the series isn't over yet, but man, that extra day waiting till Saturday, the misery that would have come with it. Oh, God. Yeah. Question is, what is a game like that do to the Spurs? Touched on that. Got a few other things I want to get to, including big news out of Gainesville. Also, Cam Miller joins us coming up. A little football talk about 10:35. We got a great history lesson today. You can access this show at FM 96.9, AM 740, the iHeart app. You can access in video form by going to our YouTube page at 96.9 The Game. Orlando, click on the logo on the live button. Chris is waving to you right now. And you can always get this in podcast form. Go where you get your favorite podcast and type in the Beat of Sports on demand for the entire show. Subscribe, download, listen when it works for you. Back and more of the Beat of Sports next. can I share a quick story?
Yes.
Unrelated to the Knicks win last night and all that stuff. Yesterday I was at PetSmart picking up checking out. A woman walked in with like a Amazon box, and she says to the guy that's running the store, he leans over and goes, "Can I help you?" She goes, "Can I return a hamster?" And he goes, "Well, when'd you buy it?" And she goes, "No, we got it months ago. We're moving, and we just don't want to take it." And he goes, "Well, I have to get a manager because I don't know, from a health standpoint." And she goes, "Oh, he's perfectly healthy." And the guy goes, "Well, I'm sure." And then she looks at me and goes, "Doesn't he look healthy?" I go, "How do I know? I don't know what the hamster is supposed to look like." And then, and then she goes, "Look at him." Right? So the guy stops because the manager happens to come walking by, right? And he says, whatever, the guy's name was Pete, "Can you help her out?" And then she goes, "I want to return the hamster." And he says, "Well, we just got to be careful from a health standpoint." And then once again, I want to be innocent bystander. She turns and goes, "Of course the hamster's healthy." And looking at me, and I'm like, "I'm not a vet." I got a bag of Purina One here with 4 cans and some gravy for my cats. I could care less what happens to your hamster here. I just want to get out of here. Yeah. She's like looking at me like, "Isn't he healthy?" How do I know?
Did she end up returning him?
I left. I don't know.
I would have stayed. I would have stuck around to see what happened.
No.
Why?
She's like, "Yeah, we're moving. We don't want to take it with us."
You are now,
and I don't know what the policy is. Like,
you are now involved in this. How do you not stick around to find out
if
what
you
happened?
buy a hamster, what's you got 48 hours? What is it, like a test run at home? What's wrong? Not exactly very fast in the wheel. I thought he'd be a little bit quicker, so we don't want him. We bring him back. But she said, no, I don't want money back. We're just moving. I think she said, they've had it for 4 months and they want to bring it back. And the guy's like, "Well, I don't know. Is there something wrong with it?" And she's like, "Oh, look at him. He looks great." And then I just got the eye stare like, "Can I help the cause here?" Like, I don't want to help the cause.
Just take it with you.
He wasn't interested. Yeah. Not a vet. What do I know it's supposed to look like, for crying out loud? Yeah, like what do you want me to do along the way? Yeah, please give me a break. Can I quickly check in with something here?
Yes.
Method Man? Oh, I missed it.
Wow.
Completely dropped the ball on that.
Amateur.
Yeah. Method Man?
Knicks in 5. What y'all talking about?
Yeah. Again, can't play the start of their act from last night. Can't do that. You'd get in trouble, but can't do that. A little bit of breaking news out of Gainesville, where the University of Florida announcing today that they're moving forward with a $1.45 billion renovation of Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. $1.45 billion. It's a process that goes through the Board of Trustees, set to begin after the 2026 season to be done with the 2030 season. The board meeting today is expected to approve the measure to advance funding to come through private giving, capital reserves, long-term debt. Florida Board of Governors needs to approve. You don't get this far without knowing that they're going to approve it. $1.45 billion. You know what University of Florida did today? They looked at the Rays and goes, "Hey, how's it going down there?" Huh? What? Having a problem, huh? Yeah, we're just going to throw $1.45 billion here and take care of this thing. Yeah, we're good. Yeah, we don't need a little, CTI tax or whatever you got there. We'll just, $1.45 billion along the way. Man.
How much would it cost to build a new stadium? Tear down this one, build a new one.
The problem is you'd have to build it someplace else on campus because your team needs a place to play. They ain't moving to Camping World Stadium. So that's the problem with all on-campus stadiums that need renovations is how do you do it? Now, some start and stop. FSU did it. You start, you stop, and UCF started, stopped. They're not doing a complete rebuild. And Florida's not doing a complete rebuild. They're going to have to freshen some things up. But that's the problem. You talk about places like in the SEC, it's a key part of your campus, and you can't just miss a season. So they'll kind of piecemeal this over the course of 5 years. All right, quickly, is there a hangover in Game 5 for the Spurs?
Yes, I think there is. I think it's a mental game at this point, and I mean to be up 29, you are now in history for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
They're going to come out sloppy. I think they're done. They're defeated. They're deflated.
Well, I hope so. But I said to Kelly, if you're the Knicks, you've got to survive the initial emotional rush in San Antonio. Like, their fans will be jacked up. And you got to hope that the Spurs don't shoot like they did in Game 4 to start the basketball game. But if you survive the early rush, then I think it becomes more of a head thing for San Antonio. And again, I've said this. The window for the Spurs is just opening. Wembanyama is incredible. That backcourt for the next decade, who wants to play that backcourt?
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, Dylan Harper is going to be a top 10 player in the NBA in a couple years. Not like 5 years, in a couple years. Okay? Stephon Castle is as tough as you're going to find. The window for the Knicks is closing. This is not like if they win the start of something. The window is closing, but the Spurs, it's just opening. But does that inexperience come into play as you get to game number 5?
It does. And I mean, it came into play last night. Again, the moment got too big.
Well, it got too big for several guys. The veteran De'Aaron Fox, Wemby in the second half with shot selection, placement on defense. He got tired. Mitch Johnson, as good as he's been in his brief time with the Spurs, that's on him also in the second half. And his staff. And that's on them that you can't stop the bleeding. Because usually it's the other way, where the Knicks couldn't stop the bleeding as the Spurs built a 29-point lead. So, Game 5 in San Antonio coming up on Saturday. Can I do one more thing to make you happy, Chris?
Of course.
Is that okay? Can I do that? Dutch fans, man. World Cup begins tonight. Cam Mellor, the other football talk next.
This segment is presented by Bowegan's Beer Company. Love data? Love analytics? Let's take a deeper dive into both as we talk to Cam Mellor.
What you know is very limited, and what you don't know is limitless.
The Chief Analytics and Data Officer at Pro Football Network. You can follow Cam on X or Twitter at Cam Mellor.
All right, we talk a little football with Cam Mellor, and, when you think about it, we're under 80 days to the start of the college football season from week 0, so it's practically around the corner. Good morning, Cam. How are you?
It is practically around the corner, and I'm great. Thinking about it that way, when you look at it, don't say more than 2 months away because that still hurts. But other than that, it's a 80-day, under 80, we're right there, the precipice.
By the way, welcome back to Florida. Did you feel the earthquake that we had a few days ago?
It depends on where I was. I've been driving back and forth between Daytona and Palm Coast so much that 95 is starting to feel like a breeze nowadays. But I did not feel it. I might have also been in Ohio bringing my last bit of stuff down. So,
all right, let's dive into some. I know we've talked about Brendan Sorsby. I mean, you're welcome to share an opinion. But let's say it reaches a point, and I don't know what the deadline is. Does he have a deadline for the supplemental draft? Do you know what that is?
Oh, I don't know that one. That is interesting, though, because that's all where we really thought he should go anyways. Right. But if they're feeling in their camp that it's going to happen and he can play this year, I mean, it obviously gives Texas Tech a boon and a boost for this season, because otherwise I don't really know if we trusted Will Hammond to, A, be healthy for the season and then, B, carry that team, because it feels like as good as that team is with the players they brought in and last year and this year, and it feels like it will be a little dependent on the quarterback situation. So it does feel like with how we've gone, they're not looking at it, or at least his camp isn't looking at that supplemental draft.
Yeah, Chris just said it's June 22nd.
June 22nd is the deadline to enter the NFL supplemental draft.
If he took the route, and again, if you pick somebody in a supplemental draft round, you lose that draft pick for the season. So if he went that route, where do you think he might go?
Yeah, it's tough. It feels very much like, honestly, I mean, we're in unprecedented, uncharted territory, right, with something of this magnitude. And so as long as you're an NFL franchise that is okay with the indiscretions that's going to come with it and the fanfare or anti-fanfare that'll come with the selection of him, he feels like a person or a quarterback that would have been drafted and maybe not in that Ty Simpson echelon where he would have been a fringe first rounder, but he's definitely worth one of those day 2 selections with what we saw and what he's been able to put forth on tape. I mean, just from last year specifically, but to me, I don't know if he warrants it. It'd definitely be in that, where I'd be giving up a day 3 pick for him at this point.
Unfairly going to ask you, if you had to guess the number of NFL teams that would write him off their board because of the off-field stuff, would that be an issue for teams?
Yeah, I'd probably say there's probably half the NFL teams are going to write them off. I think it's, maybe they're okay with it internally, but I think that, football's a business, right? And we've seen with the amount of teams coming out saying we're never going to play Texas Tech in any sports. I mean, there's a lot of fans that are going to feel that same way. And so I feel like there's going to be a lot of almost negative animosity toward that selection. I think you have a bunch of teams or enough smart decision makers that will write them off because of it.
I want to ask you about a position, both guys coming back to college this year and what you've forecast them for the draft. And I want to start with a couple of guys in this state. Mark Fletcher at Miami probably could have entered the draft, and I'll let you decide where you think he may have been drafted. Wants to come back, but at least Miami can win a national championship. Every time you come back, it's miles in the tires. Mark Fletcher going into the season and his draft profile today would be what?
He's one of those fringe, he's been firmly drafted within the day 3 range. I think what we saw last year there's almost like an too upright running style that somehow still works in college. So I do worry for his prognostication into the NFL. I think he needs to get a little bit lower and maybe make sure that he can test well and run fast enough and be fluid and agile enough. But great college football running back, and I do think he's probably right there with the fact that Miami can win a national championship this year. It's an open season, could set up to be one of the better ones we've seen in this playoff era. But to me, yeah, he needs another big year and to showcase a little bit more than just that upright running style where he's going to run by you. He needs to show some fluidity to crack maybe that day 2 range.
Take me through what might be different this year for Jaden Baugh at Florida. A new offensive system and taking a look at what Buster Faulkner did at Georgia Tech and how they utilized their back. And with no clear-cut number 1 quarterback, what that does and how you scheme and what type of defense he will look at for Jaden Ball project his season.
Yeah, to me, this is, if there's anybody that can battle Kewan Lacey for running back one of this class, it's him and Ahmad Hardy. So we have the trio of SEC running backs that'll be vying for running back one this year. And Baugh, to me, because if you look at Ole Miss, they've got some other questions themselves. Same with Missouri, some other questions. It feels like there's some quarterback questions in those offensive corrections, whereas we know that this Florida offense is going to want to run through him. It's probably one of the better offensive lines. We know what they can produce as well, and we know what this John Summerall-led offense wants to do as well. And so to me, with Faulkner, with what that offensive line can look like, and with Baugh, they're going to scheme against him. And so the stage is set for him. If he can explode for some of those 100, 150-yard games, even 200-yard games in the early stretch of the season, he'll put his name on the map and then get a bunch of eyeballs on him through the SEC season. So he can vault himself into round one firmly.
Maybe today he's not 1, 2, or 3 in the country. I just watched because of obviously in the Big 12. LJ Martin at BYU, if he's healthy. He wasn't healthy last year, but if he's healthy, where do you put him?
Yeah, I mean, he's our highest graded running back that's returning to college football. And so I think very highly of him, but I do worry when we're talking, you said it as well, there's a lot of tread on the tires, or less tread on the tires, a lot of miles on the tires. LJ Martin not being able to play a full 12, 13 game season in his career and being injured constantly and still being able to produce what he's been able to produce is incredible. But it's going to feel like there's going to be a lot of dings and a lot of nicks on his resume, his body as well as he goes to the NFL. So he's probably not in that round one range because of that. I think he has the talent to be a round one running back and even a bell cow as long as he can stay healthy in the NFL.
I don't know what you take out of some of these OTAs, but I'm going to ask you your top 2 or 3 guys for offensive rookie of the year based on where they are on a depth chart and opportunities they'll get and surrounding personnel. Give me the top 2 or 3 offensive rookies.
Yeah, we haven't gone running or wide receiver back-to-back rookie of the year, offensive rookie of the year in a couple of years now. Cardinal Tate to me is set up to be that sort of wide receiver one. We've got a couple of maybe some threats in that. It's a talented team, all things considered, for Tennessee. I think that he is probably the most talented, though it feels like, to be set up. And I don't want to go chalk and say Jeremiah Love either, but I do definitely think that there's a stretch as well for Cardinal Tate, but then also I do love the landing spot for Jadarian Price to sort of break out if he can stay healthy, play all 17 games, and maybe not just become RB1 or RB2, but be RB1 in that backfield. It feels like it's a young man's sport. And so honestly, I'd put Jadarian Price right up there as well. If he can, as long as he can grasp the offense and play a full 17 games, it feels like he could go for over 1,000 yards, 1,200 yards.
Same question on the defensive side.
Yeah. Probably chalk with this one. I do feel like that there could be some David Bailey love. And as long as he's out there wrecking havoc like we know he can do, we've not seen anybody that translates, and that, to me, the skill set that translates over so well. Sonny Styles has the shot as well. And then Caleb Downs. I know it feels like going chalk with like the 3 best players on the defensive side of the ball, but Downs' game translates so perfectly over. Got to feel like he's going to play as many snaps as humanly possible for that defense as well this year. So Downs is sort of not the dark horse, but I think maybe the early favorite in my opinion.
To prove that I watch your stuff, you've got your debate club, and one of the recent ones you're talking about Aaron Rodgers. You're where on Aaron Rodgers in 2026?
I'm tired. I mean, as tired as Aaron Rodgers is going to be as well after these games. I'm tired. I at once firmly stood on the side of the fence where I thought Aaron Rodgers was the greatest quarterback to play the game. And that was against Brady, Manning, anybody you want to name it. And I think it's the talent level that he was able to possess and his creation capacity is unlike anything we've seen. But that was 5, 6, 10 years ago at this point. And so as much as the reunition with Mike McCarthy feels fun and feels like we could see something, last year is the best we're going to see of Aaron Rodgers, not throwing the ball down the field, not testing the waters. Maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong and the Steelers are there, but it feels like they're just treading water.
Baker Mayfield's got an interesting contract situation that he isn't happy by at least what the Bucs have offered and may just say, hey, I'll go into the season. What's left in that tank, and should the Bucs either A, invest, or B, be careful?
Yeah, I think with how difficult it is to find a quarterback who not only plays far above average football, but also has fanfare that can follow him. I mean, it feels like someone can fall out of grace very quickly. And it feels like the Bucs fans have gotten behind Baker. They understand his game, the positives and the negatives, but the fact that He'll put his body out on the line for every single yard for your team. It feels like the Bucs fans have embraced him, almost like the Browns fans did after he took them to the playoffs and before they threw him to the side. So if I'm the Bucs, there's a huge discrepancy in quarterback play, and Baker's in that upper echelon, in my opinion, of above average starters in the NFL. So I say you lock him up and you keep him there as long as he wants to be there.
You can follow the work of Cam Miller at Cam Miller on X or Twitter. Also, Pro Football Network is at PFN365, and there's a whole bunch of cool things as you get set for another football season looming in the next several couple of months. Keep unpacking and getting your house set up. Thanks for the time. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks a lot, guys.
Cam Miller. Chris, we've been so busy with all the NBA stuff, everything. Did you see the Baker brief interview the other day?
I saw that he said that him and the Bucks were in discussions for a new contract, but that they're far off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's got an interesting contract, too, that if they don't get a deal done by 27, it's a big cap hit. Because if you put a tag on him, it gets really, really expensive.
That's why I thought, the Glazers came out and said they wanted Baker. They want Baker. Yes, I know how last season ended, but if you really wanted him, you would have signed him last offseason.
Because I think the tag number is projected to be like 55 or 56 for next season for quarterback.
They should have signed him when they had the chance.
The interesting one in Tampa.
But now I think also, again, you're going into this season. He gave them till training camp to come up with the new contract. But
not a hard deadline, but yeah.
Todd Bowles and Baker Mayfield both lame duck status. Does a new coach want Baker? They're in a tricky spot.
Yeah. 11 o'clock hour. Got a history lesson coming up about 11:35. We've covered both of these issues in high school sports, but our state is about to do something different. Open a division where the best high school football team in the state, regardless of enrollment size, now play for a championship. Not everybody likes the idea. And the state's trying to figure out how to control transfers a little bit. We'll talk to somebody who's covered it quite well to explain all that. The hour kicks off with the news. But first, as the event begins today, here's the first World Cup report. World Cup report brought to you by our friends at Fiddler's Green Irish Pub. And today, the opening day of the world's biggest sporting event, Mexico, one of the three host countries, opens up, taking on South Africa, 3 o'clock. Later tonight, also in Mexico, South Korea and Czechia will play. The U.S. is in action tomorrow. It'll be the second match. The first match on Friday, the other host nation, Canada, will take on Bosnia-Herzegovina at 3 o'clock. And the U.S. and Paraguay begins at 9 p.m. That's in Los Angeles tomorrow night. Among the Saturday action, Brazil will be playing Monaco. So today, Mexico, South Africa, 3 o'clock match, the first match of the World Cup. Of course, three nations hosting, Mexico, Canada, and the United States, and all three host countries playing today or tomorrow. Again, the U.S. first match against Paraguay tomorrow, 9 o'clock, SoFi Stadium out in Los Angeles. 48 teams vying for the biggest trophy in sports today. World Cup begins, Mexico, South Africa, 3 o'clock today. The U.S. and Paraguay goes at 9 p.m. Friday night. That's our World Cup update brought to you by Fiddler's Green Irish Pub.
Let's really do the news.
Yes.
Now it is time to do the news.
But now it's time for the news.
11 o'clock hour, WYJ Orlando, WJR, HD2 Cocoa Beach. Marc Daniels of BOS Sports. Chris Vasquez is over there. Knicks do it. They come back from an NBA record 29-point deficit, the greatest comeback in playoff history. They beat the Spurs 107-106. Knicks were down 71-42 in the second quarter, trailed 76-49 at the half. Down 15 going into the fourth quarter. The Spurs, who scored 76 first-half points, held to 30 second-half points, Chris. 30 second-half points.
Adjustments.
OG Anunoby, Jalen Brunson had 25 of the 32 fourth-quarter points for the Knicks and almost outscored the Spurs by themselves in the second half. 33 for OG Anunoby, played 41 minutes, hit 7 of 9 threes in the basketball game. Jalen Brunson was 12 of 25. He had 36 points in the game. Karl Anthony Towns picked up that early second foul, played 26 minutes, had 13 points. And if you just looked at the box score, you wouldn't know how important Jose Alvarado was coming off the bench. Played 16 minutes at 8 points, hit one of the biggest threes in the Knicks rally, and the Knicks used him and Jalen Brunson key moments in the fourth quarter. For San Antonio, 14 first-half threes, then they went 3 of 17 in the second half from 3 and shot 8 of 39 from the floor in the second half. Victor Wembanyama played 44 minutes, had 24 points, 13 rebounds in the basketball game. I thought he was gassed at the end. Knicks will try to win their first championship since 1973 on Saturday in San Antonio. World Cup begins later today. In Mexico, they'll take on South Africa at 3 o'clock. One of two matches. South Korea and Chechnya play tonight. The U.S. will take on Paraguay in Los Angeles tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. Yesterday here in Orlando, in a friendly, England beat Costa Rica 3-0. Heavy rains, a slight delay, but great drainage at Interco Stadium, and went out and played. And England got the win. Better than 21,000 fans were there. Game 5 of the NHL Stanley Cup Final tonight in Carolina. That series is tied at 2 after the road win by Carolina, and now comes down to a best of 3 with Game 5 tonight again in Carolina. Gators, University of Florida State announcing earlier today a $1.45 billion renovation of Ben O. Griffith Stadium over the course of 5 years, taking place after the 2026 season through 2030. $1.45 billion to be paid by a combination of ways: donations, as well as available capital reserve from Florida, a little bit of debt, and the university going through the process of board approval. The Gators plan on not really impacting capacity at all and basically modernizing. Chris brought up a good point about why don't universities build new stadiums, and because where on your campus? If you're going to go build something. Now, Florida built a new baseball field from where the old baseball stadium was. The new baseball stadium, no disrespect, it's an incredible facility. You're not talking about 88,000 seats and suites and all that stuff. So that's why you kind of start and stop and start and stop and start and stop, as Florida State did for a couple of years. This will be a little bit bigger project for $1.45 billion. A
lot of money.
It was indeed, or it is indeed, a lot of money. The NCAA Track and Field Championships continue in Eugene, Oregon. I mentioned this earlier last night as ABC signed off after the dramatic Nick comeback. Mike Breen is saying, now flip over to ESPN for Inside the NBA coverage. And they had 2 laps left of the 10,000-meter run. And they weren't cutting it off and waited to the end. And you can just imagine what that was like as they're got the whole buzz and vibe and all sorts of stuff, and to flip over. I don't know if you saw any of you may have seen some clips online, Chris, but they had him on the court, okay, just like they did in pregame. And it's just a reminder that Shaq is the size of the state of Rhode Island. Like, he's just that big. Like, Draymond Green is sitting next to him. Draymond Green's, what, 6'8"? And Shaq is just... He's just a large man. He's just a large man.
That he is.
You know? He's just a big dude.
He would eat Wemby alive.
Oh, in prime. Like in his prime.
Hell,
Yeah.
even late 30s Shaq
Yeah.
would eat Wemby alive.
They posted Ernie Johnson's picture with Taylor Swift. Long time suffering Knick fan who was there at the Garden last night, enjoying the moment. Notice Travis Kelce didn't go to the game. It was a ladies' night out for her.
Wasn't she at game 3 as well?
I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't believe so.
I thought she was at game 3 too.
I don't recall. Somebody posted the list of celebrities that were there last night.
It's New York.
Wu-Tang Clan. Method Man.
Why don't you play the beginning of the clip that you've been playing?
I don't think I know how the dump system works. I know how long it takes to get back up again. And the minute you dump the first time, you would need about another dump button in 0.8 seconds because the word that they say 4 times in the first 9 seconds before they get into their song, would make it very difficult.
Was there
but again, just think, they reunite, and they're probably thinking, man, Knicks will have a halftime lead. Crowd's going to be jacked up. Knicks down 27 as Wu-Tang comes out.
Was there a PA announcement afterwards? Fans, we apologize for the language of our halftime performers.
In New York? Get out of here. You do that in some other wimp towns. You crazy? Yeah. Would you like to be the guy that goes, hey, is there any chance you guys can leave the profanity out? Okay, we're just asking. It's okay, no problem. Do what you got to do. We're just asking.
You know who you booked when you booked them.
Yeah. Like you knock on the door, and there's this massive cloud that comes out as the door opens, right? Hey, Method Man, how you doing? Could you guys maybe, just tone it down a little bit?
By the way, whoever that is not calling him Method Man. It's Mr. Method Man, sir.
Hey, Meth. What's up? Eminem. How you guys doing? Feeling good, huh? Come with a lot of energy out there. By the way, listen, I'm not a hardcore Wu-Tang guy, okay? But they're not that young anymore, okay? And I'm not buying for a second the DJ was actually spinning behind them. Okay, I'm not that stupid.
What are you talking about?
Huh? What? Huh?
What are you talking about?
A self-serving history lesson in about 25 minutes. That's right. That's right. But up next, big changes when it comes to high school sports. We'll explain next. Minute Sports, Marc Daniels on this Thursday. We cover high school football during the season and outside of the great performances in the field and, for example, Lake Mary's championship run. We've also followed the stories of coaches that have been fighting for increased pay and many that have left the state, the transfer issue and all that stuff. But interesting news, the FHSAA moving forward with an open division that will take the top teams in the state, let them play. For example, in football, 8 teams will play for a championship, regardless of size of the school. It's interesting how we got here, and also some news on the transfer front as well. Andy Villamarzo covers high school sports for Rivals and On 3. He's been a guest before and kind of come back and chat with us. Andy, welcome back. Good morning. How are you?
Thanks for having me again, Mark. I'm doing well, and definitely have fielded a lot of calls in regards to this open division and then the student-athlete transfer rule.
Let's start. For those that don't know, what is the open division? How did it come about, and how long has this discussion been going on before we got to where we are?
It's been going on for, I would say, the last few years, probably just after the COVID period, around 2021. Executive Director Craig Damon started bringing up the discussion. According to a lot of coaches I've been talking to, it kind of sounded like a grandiose idea, which would have maybe a few perks to it, because they want to have teams actually kind of strive to be a part of this Open 8, which, talking to coaches, depending on your program and where you're at, you might want to be in that Open 8 and you might not, just because you may have not won a state championship in your time. A team like DeLand, for instance, in the Central Florida area, I know Rick Darlington and the Bulldogs, they would love an opportunity to compete for a state championship, but what if you get kind of taken away from that and you're put in that Open 8? Now you're at the kind of crosshairs of that, because now you're facing a lot of those elite teams. But the open division has been in talks for, half dozen years, and now it's gotten to this point where it's going to be reality this fall, and they now have a criteria of how they're going to go about it.
Andy, what's been the feedback? I know some people have not been the biggest fans of the formula that Max Preps use, which is going to be used to pick these teams, and things may evolve. What's your thoughts on, Max Preps system to rate teams, and feedback you've heard from coaches about that?
I think the feedback is that would be the preferred method, just because if the human element was added in, I think there's concerns of who would be the people deciding that, who would be the group or committee that would have oversight over the open division to decide those 8 teams. I think there's some confusion by some. I was asked by a gentleman which version of the Max Preps rankings are they using, because he says there's a human generated one, there's a computer generated one. To my understanding, if they're not going to have the human element, they're not going to have somebody at Max Preps humanly generate a top 8. So they're going to have the computers decide this. It'll be a completely computer generated rankings. And there's not a criteria, or you don't have to have a prerequisite of being a state champion. That was talked about a lot heading into this board meeting, was there would be some criteria possibly. It could have been broken up into a north-south. Basically, the South would be your South Florida teams, and your North would essentially be everybody else around the state. And it just kind of came as is. They're going to go with the Max Preps rankings, the top 8 teams, regardless of your history. You could be St. Thomas Aquinas and have won 17 state championships. You could be Port Charlotte and have won none. So, but you could be very well a contender in your classification. So I would say, coaches around the state would rather have a computer generated than you would have a human element to it combined with maybe a computer.
You mentioned Rick Darlington at DeLand. There's some other schools that that might not like this system just because of how they schedule. Sometimes are forced to schedule. What have those coaches told you about? And I guess they just understand that the open division is going to be where it is. But I'm sure there's more than guys like Rick that kind of wonder about this.
There is. I think there's a lot of coaches around the state that just they're not worried about it
Mhm.
because they don't feel like they'll probably be in that top 8. They don't feel like that's something that they're going to have on their radar during the 2026 high school football season. I think if you're an elite program, you're one of these year in and year out, just annual contenders. You're always there at the end when it comes to wherever the FHSA holds their state title games, which, this year will be down in Miami. I mean, St. Thomas Aquinas, Chaminade Madonnas, your Miami Centrals, American Heritages. I mean, these are teams that we see just about every year make a visit to the state championship game. So these are the teams that I think they kind of know they're going to be in those conversations. When you think of the Max Preps rankings compared to the FHSAA rankings, like in the story I did, which when you look at the final 8 teams, and I have the visual right in front of me. I mean, at the end of the season, Max Preps had Miami Northwestern, Miami Central, Cardinal Mooney, St. Thomas Aquinas, Chaminade Madonna, Rains, Armwood, Buchholz. That was their top 8. Now, at the end of the season, by the FHSA rankings, they had DeLand, Cardinal Mooney, Vero Beach, Buchholz, Northwestern, Mandarin, Carrollwood Day, and Bowles. I mean, I would say that's a bit vastly different when you kind of compare the two. So, and I think the former with the Max Preps rankings is what a lot of people feel like at least that's a more accurate depiction of maybe the top 8 teams versus the latter, which, and it's no offense to teams like DeLand or Vero Beach or Mandarin, Carrollwood Day or Bowles. It's just, I think there's an opinion out there that if you had to pick one or the other, you would go with the Max Preps rankings because it kind of gives a more realistic viewpoint of what, who those best teams are at the end.
Let me pivot, although it's interesting, transfers may play a role in how teams start building rosters that think they can qualify for the open division. But I tell people, far better than me, if people think transferring is a problem in college sports, they ought to spend a week talking to people in high school football. The challenge, the lack of resources, the FHSAA, like the NCAA, they simply cannot police everything out there. Some have mastered the art of how to work the transfer. What has changed, and do you think it is a step in the right direction if you think so?
Now, the new rule that falls under the House Bill 538 that was signed off by Governor DeSantis, over a couple weeks ago, and everybody's been calling about some kind of clarification on when this rule takes into effect July 1st, which athletes are impacted by this, because obviously there's been a ton of transfers since the 2025 high school football season ended, which Executive Director Craig Damon said earlier this week at the board meeting that they had to provide some clarification. Any transfers that came in pre-spring, which is pre-spring practice, would be grandfathered in to this new rule that they're going to adopt heading into the 2026-27 season. So I would look at it with the non-traditional students. Those are the ones that are impacted by this House Bill rule, which non-traditional students are virtual school students, homeschool, somebody that's not taking a seat at a school. Like they're not at a desk at the school and officially enrolled. And I think people get it confused with, so that means they can't go to like a private school in another county. No, that's not the case. It's more so if you're, let's say, a student athlete that lives in Osceola County, but you're taking a virtual class and you're going to just a neighboring county like Polk or Orange or Osceola, vice versa, kind of just mix and match whatever 2 counties you want to use. You couldn't do that anymore with this new rule. Now, obviously, with the high school football transfer portal as we see it, yes, you're going to have people that finagle their way and find a way to get to where they want to be at. But the FHSAA has kind of made it be known. If they find, which is, I think, a task within itself, if they find, which I think is more coaches coming forward and saying, hey, this student athlete doesn't reside here in that county, like I have evidence or somebody has evidence, that there's going to be stiff penalties for this. Now, what those fines exactly are, what those suspensions are for these student athletes or coaches or athletic directors that allow this to go on, that hasn't been clear. That's not clear. That hasn't been clarified. So it's kind of I think it it is a step in the right direction, but I think there needs to be more clarity from the FHSAA on what exactly is allowed or what is going to be grandfathered in and accepted with this new rule versus what is not.
Yeah, I read, I'm pretty sure one of your pieces that we got kids that are on their third school since December that are bouncing around. And you know, we had the story of a kid that played and lost in a playoff game that played for a different team the next week. I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah. And there's cases like this all over the state. I know exactly the story you're referring to, and it definitely, I got calls about that, just people saying, wow, I can't believe it. And not even just in our own state. I mean, out of state, covering nationally, I'm hearing from coaches. I spoke to a head coach out of Rhode Island earlier this week. I'm doing a feature on a school up there, and the coach was like, I saw your story on the one transfer that you just aforementioned, and he was like, I couldn't believe it. He's like, that is almost like insane to think like somebody could move around like that. But my response always is welcome to Florida. It's the kind of the wild, wild west as everybody sees it. And I mean, I think the FHSA is trying their best to try a little bit to put the toothpaste back in the toothpaste bottle, but I don't think that's ever going to happen. I don't think you can fully make that. I don't even think you're going to get a fraction of it back in. I think it's just, it kind of is what it is. People that are going to try to find a way to put their, like a family, try to put their son or daughter in the best position possible at the school that they feel like they're going to be able to thrive in or succeed in, they're going to do it. They're going to find a way. I think it's just, are people going to come forward with more evidence to kind of, fight against those that are trying to kind of circumvent the rules, try to go around it. So that remains to be seen. I've heard a lot of, kind of rumors of allegations, and, we'll see if people come forward or, nothing changes if nothing changes, right?
And it's just like in college football, coaches complain about tampering, but they don't want to rat somebody out because they're doing it themselves. And just like we're watching out of Texas Tech, when the adults in the room can make the right decision, sometimes the obsession and the addiction to win means that we just don't make that right decision. But that's a discussion for another day. Andy is on X or Twitter at Andy_Villamarzo, National High School reporter at Rivals and on 3. Thanks, Andy. I appreciate the time.
Hey, thank you, Mark.
Good stuff from Andy Villamarzo. Yeah, the open division is going to be interesting. I'm sure the whole Chris, just like we debate in college football, right? Someone's going to be 9-10 when the computer spits out rankings, right?
Yep.
And then someone's going to say, well, maybe we want a little bit of a human element. Maybe we get a committee of so forth, and and then the moment one of the big powerhouses, like he talks about St. Thomas. And don't get offended if you went to St. Thomas, okay? You guys were stacking players in the early 80s when I was in high school. The moment one of those schools gets left out with an undefeated season, then what'll happen, Chris? We'll go to court, right?
Always. So solution to everything. Go to court.
We'll go to court. And on the transfer front, it's the same thing, right? You don't have the resources. The FHSAA doesn't have the resources to police everybody. And then, as he was saying, and Chris, you can understand this, and we've talked about this on other high school-related stories. You've been with me enough now. Every time a student leaves a county to go virtual, there's loss of funds that are there, money that's gone. That's why counties go out of their way to create programs to keep kids in. But what happened? You had more parents go, well, just homeschool. Why? Because now we can cherry pick the athletic team we want to go play for. And this is what they're trying to close, that little loophole, and say, well, hang on a second. Wait. Because the number of homeschool kids in the state, yes, changed from COVID, but in the last several years has skyrocketed. Not because you can't get a good education in public schools. No, because mom and dad just want to cherry pick where they want to play. And who's offering more money, or dad a job, or mom a car, or things like that. A self-serving history lesson. Yep. Next.
All right, boys and girls, take a seat and listen up as we take a trip down memory lane with Marc Daniels in this week's history lesson.
Chris, you're a part of today's self-serving history lesson for me.
All right.
I'm going to take you through some moments, and you get to pick maybe the most historic, greatest performance, and all sorts of things that are connected to it, okay?
Okay.
So walk with me.
Mm-hmm.
Let me play some great moments, okay?
Okay.
All right. So today, the history lesson begins by going back a little bit, if you don't mind. We're going to take you back to 1956, 70 years ago.
I thought we were about to go back about 15 hours ago.
70 years ago, okay? 70 years ago, 1956. It is the World Series. The Yankees are playing the Dodgers. Don Larson is the starting pitcher in Game 2 of the World Series and doesn't pitch well, and he's yanked early. There's discussion if he's going to be the pitcher in Game number 5. He arrives at the Yankee clubhouse and opens up his locker to find a brand new baseball put there by manager Casey Stengel, saying, "You've got the ball today." Larson goes out and faces 26 Dodgers and gets 26 consecutive outs, and is trying for the first ever perfect game in a World Series. Vin Scully, 70 years ago, for Don Larson. So he throws the perfect game. It does not win the series. The Yankees go up 3-2. They have to win in 7 games. But Don Larson, 27 up and 27 down. A perfect game in the World Series. You're impressed, right?
Absolutely.
1986. 40 years ago. 40 years ago. If you don't mind, can I take you to Shea Stadium? The Boston Red Sox are moments away of winning a World Series. Vin Scully is on the call.
Can you believe this ball game at Shea? Oh, brother. So the winning run is at second base with 2 out, 3-2 to Mookie Wilson. Little roller up along first, behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win it.
I mean, nobody cares because it's the Mets, but I'll play that for you. Can I take you to something else now?
All right.
Super Bowl 42.
Vin Scully on this call too?
No. The Patriots are trying to get their own history in the National Football League and trying to figure out how in the world could the Giants possibly stop them? Ladies and gentlemen, Eli Manning.
3rd down and 5. Pressure from Thomas off the edge. Eli Manning stays on his feet. Airs it out down the field. It is caught by Tyree.
By the way, 5 Patriot rushers in front of Manning when he throws it, and 4 Patriot defensive players within 2 yards of David Tyree when he catches it. But not done yet until this.
39 seconds left. Lots of
35 seconds to go. Plaxico Burress with the catch. The Giants go up 17-14 on the Patriots. Can I take you to last night?
There.
Gets it back. Runs it on the drive. The floater's up. Shot won't go. Rebound deflected. In the backcourt. Fox has a chance to get it. Fox has it inside. Blocked by Anunoby.
Uh-oh. Can I take you to this then?
Let's go flat for Jalen Brunson. Allow him to operate at the top. 101. Brunson gets it. Fires up a 3. Shot no good. The chip, it's gone. It's gone. It's gone. With 1.2 remaining. Let's take the lead. OG Anunoby, and it's 107-106. Bedlam here at the Garden. They can't believe it.
Longtime suffering Nick fan Taylor Swift among those in shock, but it still comes down to one final play.
They have to get it in. Harper lobs it inside. Council hasn't lost it. That's it. It's over. The greatest comeback in NBA playoff history. The Knicks pull off the miracle comeback.
So you got some great moments in New York sports history. I could care less what the Mets did. Means absolutely nothing to me. But Chris,
Man,
want to rank them?
wow.
As a non-New Yorker, it's hard if you have an appreciation for Don Larson 70 years ago, but
Well, I was actually going to rank that number one.
that's okay.
The first ever perfect game in a World Series.
Yeah.
That's got to be number one.
Yeah.
Got to be number one. The Bill Buckner, that's got to go last. It's got to go last.
Last.
It was an
Can't
error.
tell
It was an error.
Can't tell a Mets fan.
Got to go last. I would put David Tyree's catch number two. To this day, I think that 07 Giants run is the greatest title run in any sport of all time.
Really?
I do.
Wow.
That pains me to say it, but
Okay. Yeah.
what they were able to do that year,
Yeah.
greatest title run of all time. And then last night, I'd rank third.
Yeah. Again, the Mets did not win the series on that, forced a game 7. The Giants did win the Super Bowl. Larson's perfect game did not win the World Series, and the Knicks' 29-point comeback last night did not clinch the series. They just lead 3 games to 1. But
how would you rank them?
Well, I could care less about the Mets for crying out loud.
So you'd put them fourth too?
I mean, I have an appreciation for the history of the Yankees and Don Larson for what he did. The Giants' victory, it's improbable. Nobody thought the Giants were going to beat the Patriot team, let alone get to the Super Bowl that year.
They had to go through Dallas, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, all on the road.
Yeah.
And then face they were 17-0.
Right.
17-0 New England Patriots.
Right. The thing I would add is if the Knicks win Saturday or even in game 6, then you might have to go back and think about re-ranking because of 29 points down, where when the Spurs are building that lead, your thought is not only will the Spurs win this game, they're going to win the next 2, and the embarrassment the Knicks will have to live with. So, I guess we'll have to play this series out to figure out where things rank. But
again, you haven't ranked them yet.
Well, the Giants won the Super Bowl.
Yes.
So at the moment, I think that has to be 1.
Okay.
But if the Knicks win Saturday, I will be caught up in the moment. And
I will be calling off work for the next month, or at least until football season.
I just want to ask Method Man, will the Knicks win Saturday?
Knicks in 5. What y'all talking about?
Okay. I mean, Method Man said. What else am I supposed to do with that? What else am I supposed to do with that? Yeah. I got one more thing for you because, you just want to feel good anytime, so. You love the horn, right?
Of course. And they're saying go Knicks.
Dutch fans in Kansas City this opening day of the World Cup. Put a wrap on the show next.
Time for the latest news, gossip, trends, and off-the-wall stories. Trends.
That's the craziest thing I ever heard.
Uh-oh. Did Mitch Johnson go Kenny Atkinson last night, by the way, Chris, of the game? Talking post-game and dropped this one.
By no means am I not acknowledging the Knicks and what they've done and give them credit for playing good basketball, but we feel like we've decided the outcome of all 4 games.
Maybe they're up 4-0.
They have had leads of – they've had double-digit leads in every single game.
Yeah.
In every single game.
Yeah.
So is this on coaching that they can't hold these leads?
It's on everybody. I mean, he's got to be better to convince his basketball team better shot selection and how they played.
But what switches to where you're up double digits and then it's like something clicks and you're like,
I don't know, man.
Turnovers, missed shots.
Yeah, what can I tell you, man?
Knicks at 5. What y'all talking about?
Yeah. Can I give you one more?
Sure.
Even though it wasn't from last night. That's it for us today. I'm just telling you right now, Monday could be, but we'll be here tomorrow, though, for Friday's show. Miss any of today's program, go where you get your favorite podcast. Type of the BOS Sports on Demand, access the entire show, subscribe, and get it downloaded. Listen when it's convenient for you. Catch the video stream on our YouTube page, 96 in the Game Orlando. Click on the logo on the live button, and you can watch it back anytime you want. Chris produced. I'm Marc Daniels. We'll see you tomorrow for the Friday edition of the BOS Sports.